sometimes a name implies something. So I'll give you, again, giving you examples from myself. I have a marketing company. Your Richmond Marketing is the name of my organization. But I don't do everything when it comes to marketing. Personally, I don't write for people. It's hard enough to write for myself, let alone for other people as well. I can outsource that, but that's not an area I focus on. I don't do social media for people. That's another area that I don't focus on. But when you hear marketing, you tend to think of a really wide set of services that I may offer. So I need to be more specific when I explain things. I help people with strategy. I help people with their website. And then beyond that, it just depends on the nature of the engagement. If I have a client who wants to know on some of these other areas, I'll dive in. But that's not what I'm looking for up front. My guess is it's the same for you. The other thing I would think about with this message too, you can't always be selling. In fact, you shouldn't always be selling. What can you do to put messaging out there that gets people to raise their hand to say, you know what, this is of interest to me. This is something I would be interested in. That's important in this whole process, is what can you put out to get people's interest? And so one way that I do that is I create content on specific different areas, and I share that out. And I see what people like. And I can even go so far as to put offers on those pages specifically for that sort of information, to gather that from people. Using my CRM, I can actually tag people who visited certain pages, so I can do follow-up marketing to them at some point. Or I can use the Facebook strategy, where I can pixel you based on the page you visited and the content that you like, and follow up with that. So there's lots of different ways to do that, but the bottom line is, what areas specifically make the most sense to you? Then what is your unique selling proposition? Too many comments on there. What is your unique selling proposition? Come back around to that. Why should people engage with you versus all the other choices out there? And please don't use the words, we have better customer service. Because guess what? Everybody says that. What is it about your customer service that is better than everybody else's? Think about it in those terms, not just using the words that you may think of here, so there. And then how do you relieve pain? This is all part of the messaging that you put out there with all of that. But guess what? Some of you are in a field where there are so many of you. If I can use example, realtors, right? How do you stand out in a crowd of realtors? I've always believed an Aussie accent helps, but not everybody has that advantage, right? So you've got to come up with the ways that you can be unique. I'll share a funny little story from earlier this morning. I am on my way to my office here, and I get a call from somebody I don't know. So I ignore, which is what I do. I apologize if that's any of you, but I usually don't until I get there. And actually, the other side of the story that Buffy doesn't know from her call this morning, I was in line at, where do you think? I was in line at Dunkin' Donuts. Because it's on my way, I had wanted to get over to Jackson. It was part of my plan over these 4 weeks that I was going to be doing stuff. But it's not on my way. It's out of my way to go that way. And so I was looking it up and trying to calculate my times and that. And I figured probably next week I will probably get there. I may not get there today. Anyway, Buffy was calling to say, hey, can I bring Jack's Donuts to the event today? And so I thought, how ironic where I was at that particular point in time. She felt strongly from her little spice she had here in previous weeks that we'd been a little bit too Dunkin' Donuts heavy with all of that. So we got to balance it out with some Jacks and that sort of thing, which I'm glad for. But I just, that will forever stand out in my mind in terms of looking at the choices that are out there and identifying with Jack's Donuts now, unlike any of the other stores that I've ever been to in that regard. That's a good example of how to stand out from the crowd with all of that. You know? So you've got to think about that part of it. And then the third part of this is, okay, I've decided who, and I've decided what I'm going to say. So now the other part is, what am I going to use to reach those people? And on the handout I'll give you here in just a moment, I've listed, I don't know how many, maybe 20 or more, not exhaustive options of what you can be using to communicate to that audience. I would suggest to you that you need to look at least 3, maybe as many as 5, especially if you're doing some of them now. But as that paper, as I get you that paper here, I've broken it into 5 categories, and you may have others you can add to the list. There's organic content. How can I create content? So social media posts, blog posts on your website if that fits your business model. Videos. How can you be creating videos to communicate out your message? Because guess what? There are, and I don't know what the exact percentages are, but having been in a classroom for a lot of years, I know there are people who are great with audio. They just have to hear it and they're good. Some people have to see it. My wife and I have this challenge all the time. She thinks that her saying it means I will hear it. This might just be a male thing, I'm not sure. Anyway, I believe it's this. But for me, if I can't see it, so if she's reading me an email, my brain glazes over. I say, send me the email, so I can read it with my own 2 eyes. Not that I don't believe her or love to hear her voice or anything like that. It's just that I've got to see it to assimilate it. And think about that with the people you're trying to reach as well. And then how can you get hands-on without them actually being there? For those people that like something more tangible. And I would suggest to you that probably video, like it could be a video walkthrough. You know, I'd love to see a video on how Jack's makes their donuts. But I know there are lots of people that wouldn't care less about that. But thinking about that whole experience, how can I vary it up so that they see different things? So video, maybe podcasts for more audio, creating case studies or emails. Then there's the social media side. What platform will I choose? Who knows for sure what platform, social media platform is best for their business or organization? Do you know? Anybody really experimented with that to see where do I get the most engagement? You need to do that. Because there was a day not that long ago where we said, from a marketing angle, we said, okay, be on everything. Just like have every social media account open and post on it. And guess what happened? Everybody got worn out. Because they were pushing out stuff like crazy on all these platforms. And it wasn't that helpful. They looked at it and said, what am I getting out of this? I would tend to tell you to flip it a little today. Focus on one social media that you know you could really engage your audience with, and then have a second one to back that up as well. That could be good. So often, for a lot of consumer focus, I will pair Facebook with Instagram. And one will be more prominent than the other. Or it might be a Facebook presence with a LinkedIn presence. What I do find today is most of my clients are not finding Twitter to be a particularly helpful tool for their business. Anybody here finding Twitter to be really effective for them? Okay. And you know what I am finding though? One of my clients, the Wayne Township Adult Education Program, Twitter is great for them. And schools, and I would dare say public organizations, Twitter tends to be a better tool than others. Is that right?
Yes.
So you're finding?
It depends on, so like town council meetings will live tweet that. And that's
Yeah,
very effective.
and that's effective because people will see that and engage with it and all that sort of thing. Yeah. But if it's not, if you're finding it's not, how do you know? You just got to look at your numbers and look at your engagement. You put something out there, how many people are actually like seeing it and commenting or sharing or anything like that with all of that sort of thing. So that's another side of it. Then there's optimizing your website so it gets found better in search. I'm a huge believer in that. Because if you can show up in search today, when people are asking questions, they're looking for solutions. Welcome, by the way. I got some papers for you here in just a second. When you're showing up in search for people, but it's not hard, it's not easy to do. You can't just throw a website up there and go, oh, done. We're good now. It's going to take some effort. Then there's the paid side of things. Do you need a billboard? You may think you need a billboard, but is that your best option at the price? Do you need some advertising in publications? Like if you're B2B, Times Leader can help you with that. Probably B2C in some cases as well. But looking for vehicles to get your message out to your audience. Then there's ads on Facebook, Google ads, and so on. And then the last category I got down here is events. How can you use events to market your business better? So they might be webinars online. They could be live seminars. You could have customer appreciation events. You could be a sponsor for an event, podcast or a conference. How can you use all of those different things to achieve this objective? And this objective is getting the message to your target market. All right, I'm going to stop. I'm going to bring this around to you here. This is another sheet to look at and maybe pick some examples if you don't have some already in mind. But this is your target market questions and the media options. And I may be short. I just turned out. John, would you mind making a couple more of this one for me, please? Probably like 4. Yeah. Got some more copies coming. Questions on this phase, the before phase. This is the planning, this is the foundation phase. Who really knows their audience right now? You've already done some work on this and you're pretty clear on who one of your audiences is or your audience is. Who's got that? John?
Well, we deal with uninsured people.
Okay.
Although uninsured people are not necessarily the poor, because the poor should have a healthy Indiana plan. So it's that 200 to 400% of the poverty level living in Hendricks, Morgan, Putnam, possibly Boone County, generally Hendricks.
So you've got a geographic component there.
Geographic.
You've got the not insured component that identifies people down. There's an income level.
Generally, yes, it's going to be that most overlap.
Is there an age more
Yes.
than another?
Less than 65. If you're over 65, you get Medicare.
Yeah.
And probably, 26, you can still be on your parents' plan. So 27 to 64, 27 to 60.
And do they normally have kids? Thanks.
Sometimes, but kids are easier to get insurance than adults many times. So less so, but certainly not eliminated. No.
So those are some great characteristics right there that allow you to zero in. And again, there's lots of ways to look at that. But if you're looking at it from the angle of like, hey, we want to run some ads on Facebook to attract new people to what we're offering, that gives you a whole lot of guidelines that you can do it. And so instead of having everybody who's on Facebook, who is between the ages of 27 and 64, you now can shrink that down and get much more focused. And that's important because otherwise you're wasting your energy out there, right? Okay, other questions on that part of the process? And I'm happy to come around and help you a little bit here too. Anybody struggling on the media